Alexandra, let's talk a little bit more about retirement risks. You know, everybody knows that the stock market is a huge risk and that when you retire, you don't want to be vulnerable to a huge stock market pullback. But longevity risk is also something to be considered, the risk that you're going to outlive your money. Can you discuss how important longevity risk and how people should think about it?
As we age, we're advised to take on less risk, less stock market risk. Do we think about longevity risk in the same way? So if I have the risk of loss because I have equities in my portfolio, do I want to then also make sure that I'm protected against living a very long life, which has a benefit? You get to stay alive for a long time, but the risk is that you'll run out of money.
So in our financial planning, we have to be thinking, okay, I'm getting up to a certain age, I want to reduce the risk that the stock market's going to annihilate my savings, but I also have to think, what if I live to 95? What if I live to 100? I mean, that has to be factored in as well. How do you do that?
Well, you can buy products that protect you against outliving your income.
Okay, we're going to look at those products in an upcoming segment, but do you have to sort of project out a long lifespan in your planning?
That's a good question. So we think about stock market risk. You know, advisors and their clients are trained to think about reducing exposure to risk, but we don't think about longevity risk in the same way. Now, you and I just talked about how long the average Canadian lives in retirement.
And we said it could be roughly 18 years after 65 on average.
Right, but that there's a wide dispersion of results around that number. So if you might live only a few years in retirement, and you might live a long number of years in retirement, and the level of risk that we see is actually equivalent to stock market risk. So if we want to reduce our exposure to risk as we age in retirement, we should look at reducing our exposure to longevity risk as well as to stock market risk.
Okay, and that takes us into our next segment coming up on products that will help you not outlive your money. Thanks, Alexandra.